The United States back in action for the first time since the end of the Gold Cup this summer. Two big friendlies against elite competition, South Korea and Japan. Two opponents that will figure to compete for knockout spots at the 2026 World Cup. Two nations that I believe are looking to make a push into that top 10 of the world elite. I certainly feel that with Japan, maybe South Korea a tick below. So a great opportunity here for the United States, who have had a less than stellar 2025, going back to the Nations League, which was an unmitigated disaster. Two difficult watches, one in particular against Switzerland, which felt like, I hope, the lowest point for this U.S. team, as we're hoping they start moving in the right direction. A good Gold Cup with essentially a B team, for argument's sake, we will call it that, making the final and losing to a strong Mexico side, but in the process conceding CONCACAF bragging rights to El Tri. And now it's getting to the nitty-gritty, right? And we were expecting that in September. I will talk about that, and I will get a couple things off my chest. But first things first, thanks for everyone tuning in. We know we have a lot of new listeners, subscribers. We appreciate you tuning in. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, like it. We got some big plans coming up for the World Cup, certainly, and for some new people on Twitch. Stay tuned to you youngins out there. We'll give you some guidance from the OG. So, hit it. I want to get this off my chest very quickly. I'm going to make this brief because we'll look forward to watching the games. And I may have said this before, but it bears repeating. I will join the chorus that I was hoping to have a fully baked team by this September window. You can't really waste. I don't want to say waste. And look, Mauricio Pochettino is way above my pay grade when it comes to knowing this sport. If you can criticize some of the results he's had, but this is a guy who has played or coached in the biggest leagues: Spain, Premier League, Liga 1, coming from Argentina, playing for his national team, playing for top clubs. He has seen it all. He's put together a great staff. He's made a Champions League final, one of the most unexpected runs, yada, yada, yada. I will join the chorus, a lot of the keyboard warriors out there, and saying I was hoping we'd have a fully baked September team. You don't want to miss this opportunity. Maybe that's a better word to use it against Korea and Japan. Especially, and I know it's not apples to apples because this is an exciting September window. Teams are qualifying for the World Cup or taking a step towards it in all regions, in South America, Africa, in CONCACAF. Nice result for El Salvador and Guatemala. So this World Cup field is going to come into view. Teams are qualifying left and right, like Colombia and Uruguay yesterday. But Korea and Japan are qualified for the World Cup, and they're fielding very strong teams. The Koreans have Heung-min, obviously. They also have the second best, or maybe I would say the heir apparent to the Korean throne, in Lee Kang-in. They have Kim Min-jae, who's the best. Those are the best three Korean players out there. And they are all there. And Japan, similar situation. And the U.S. are having an experimental team. And it's very hard. Now, maybe it all comes out in the wash, and Mauricio Pochettino said this is the last window, and I'll take him for that, and I'll give him that. There's nothing I could do. We all have to say, in Poch we trust. But there's 4 or 5 guys that I agree probably shouldn't be here. I'm not going to mention their names. We don't really need to take a look at them at this late stage. These are guys that at best will probably fill out a roster. I will say I'm happy to see Christian Roldan make it. I think he should be on the World Cup roster. And if you disagree with me, you have not been watching what he has done in 2025. You can make an argument he's been the best player in MLS. And we look what he did at the Club World Cup and wowed these European opponents. But I digress. We shouldn't be getting these guys in. We really have to get closer and the reason I can tell you that is that every other country is doing that, including teams that have already qualified for the World Cup. So we've got to get there. So I'm not on board with it. We should have a close team, even if, as Mauricio Pochettino said, some of these players are just getting back to their European team, and he doesn't want to disturb the waters with their club, but I don't care. Anyhow, it is what it is. If something good comes out of it, which certainly can, then I will defer to you. But look, Mauricio Pochettino, look, folks are feeling that there's some funny business. Anyone who tells me an MLS quota is at play here, please take off your tinfoil hat. Please. MLS is going to have well over 100, maybe close to 200 players at the World Cup, a variety of countries. That all helps MLS's perception. But the World Cup doesn't really help MLS. There's no quota at play. We saw this in the last cycle. At the 2022 World Cup, in the first game of that competition against Wales, in the starting 11, there was one MLS player. There were some on the bench, I understand that, but please tell me how that benefits the MLS perception. 2 years later at the Copa America, this was all under Greg Berhalter. Starting 11, the opening game against Bolivia, there were 0 MLS players in the starting 11. And that was a process where they were getting these European-based players, and we have a ton of European-based players. And my guess is when the 2026 World Cup opener rolls around, we're going to have a very similar starting 11, maybe 1 or 2 MLS players, and a few more on the bench. But I think it's going to be European-based. I truly believe that's where the strength of it lies. So get that out. Please get that out of your head. I don't want to waste any more time with that. It doesn't exist. So there's a lot of MLS players here. Mauricio Pochettino has made it pretty clear what he feels about MLS. He makes it. He's stated a competitive league. If you watch the league, you can see it's improving. It is better than a lot of European leagues. It's not better than the top leagues. We know that. So let's get into some key points that I want to see for this. I have what I believe is the starting 11 for the 2026 World Cup opener. I'll give it to you really quickly. Matt Freese, who we will discuss here. Well, I'll talk about him now. I mean, this is one of the big ticket items for me. Can he secure that goalkeeper spot? And that'd be a huge relief if he can do it. He was one of the top 2 bright spots at the Gold Cup, a penalty save extraordinaire with regards to something of that nature. That's huge. That's big ticket, baby, being able to save penalties. So everyone else is getting a shot here. Matt Freese has been the one consistent. I want to cross that off the list and have Matt Freese be the guy. In all likelihood, the back 4, Jedi Robinson, who's not here, just coming back to his club, should be here. Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Serginho Dest. The midfields, I believe the U.S., when the 2026 World Cup comes around, this may go against what Mauricio Pochettino wants to do, but I think he has to make an adjustment. It's going to be a 4-2-3-1, which he has played a lot. He played that in the Nations League. Deferred a little bit from the Gold Cup. You got to have a lockdown midfield. And this has got to be like the team at 2022. We can't give up goals because I don't think we can prove that we can score enough goals to make it through. So lock it down. So I want 2 number 6 types. Tyler Adams, who's been a real bright spot, been a big key for a Bournemouth team that's been excellent in the Premier League. And Johnny Cardoso. And Johnny Cardoso, not here. I don't care what Mauricio Pochettino does. He has to make Johnny Cardoso work. You can't have a player. Look, and this goes against the grain what I say. Now, you pick the best team. You pick the best team regardless of where they play. I believe that. Johnny Cardoso playing at Atletico Madrid with all these coaches and scouts saying how good he is. Mauricio Pochettino has to make this work. So I want to see Adams and Cardoso. You have some other candidates there with Tanner Tessman, Aiden Mars, who's not here. Aiden Mars, to me, is the one guy that 100% should be here because of the way he's played, because of how he is really integrated into that team. He should be here. If he's not here, it doesn't bode well for him, and that's disappointing to hear. But we need someone there alongside Tyler Adams. I don't want if it's Luca De La Torre or Diego Luna, I don't think that's going to work for the U.S.'s goals of advancing. They can come in some other places. I want lockdown and defensively. So Adams, Cardoso, then Pulisic on the left, Tim Weah, big question mark at number 9. I don't want to put anyone there. I don't want to put Flo Balogun. I don't want to put Ricardo Pepi. I don't want to put Patrick Agyemang. I don't want to put, who did I miss there? Josh Sargent. That is where I'm going to start. And Josh Sargent, this is your time. Flo Balogun, a late ad. He wasn't there initially because he's just getting back to his club. Just scored a goal, so good. But Flo Balogun is, we can't rely on him. Now, he had a nice Copa America, but that was a dark moment for this program, even though he played well. Everything else, injury, and before that, lack of production with the national team. I would like it to be him, and if you push me up against a wall and said, who's it going to be? I would say Flo Balogun. But Josh Sargent, this is the time. He is lighting it up, and the biggest dilemma, can he get this from the club to the national team? Nothing I want to see more. Saturday afternoon, watching the Korea game at Sports Illustrated Stadium, is to see Josh Sargent score a goal. it would be cathartic. Please, nothing more I want to see. And that will alleviate things. If Flo Balogun can do something similar, and he's here, Brian White is here as well, it's really convoluted with the number 9, and that's on Pochettino. He hasn't been helped with the lack of production and the injury list across the board. It's been astronomical, so I can give him a pass there. So that is the big one. Now, Christian Pulisic, he's had his time, right? He's had his time with this summer where he didn't join the national team. He had his time where he got to air out his grievances on his reality show, or whatever you want to call it, which I think has been very good by CBS. I haven't gravitated to see Christian Pulisic content because by and large, there's not much that is interesting enough to watch. But this was interesting. And that's all behind it. I'm glad he got it off his chest. Now's the time for Christian Pulisic to take hold of this team again and to balance club and country like he's never done before. I have faith in Christian Pulisic. This is with him, and I think Sargent starts just because of he was called in prior to Brian White or Flo Balogun. So I think Josh Sargent, I want to see some chemistry. I want to see that. That is huge for what happens on this team. The midfield with no Johnny Cardoso, Tyler Adams is locking it down. I think we're going to see Tyler Adams stay healthy and move forward. And and this is an opportunity to get a lot of things off our chest. So it's not the fully loaded team, but we still have these opportunities. I put Sargent, Pulisic, Freeze. I mentioned Matt Freeze. Those are the 3 things that I think we certainly should look at. The midfield with Tyler Adams. I mentioned Johnny Cardoso making it work. The 2 guys that are really lost here, and I think have, if not the most to lose, are already lost, is Weston McKennie, who's not playing at Juventus, and Yunus Musa has just moved clubs. I don't want to be in either one of their shoes. I just don't, as a starting 11, I don't think there's room for either one of them. For McKennie, I think you find a spot on that roster. Musa's on the back end of the roster at this point. He has a lot to prove with that long list of midfielders that I've already mentioned. I think it could end badly for both of them. Weston McKennie is on the clock. To think that he wouldn't be a featured player at the World Cup would have been folly, but now I think that ship has almost sailed. I don't know where he puts it in, and I don't see any indication that Mauricio Pochettino trusts him. So this midfield, you want to be on the right side of the pecking order. The only guy that really is in there is Tyler Adams. Backline, I think it's pretty much as is. I'm not crazy about having Tim Ream there at the age of 38, but there's no one else who has stepped up that does what he does with his passing, etc. And the reason you can get away with Tim Ream is Chris Richards has been excellent, and I feel so much more comfortable based on what we saw at the Gold Cup. He has become the star that we always hoped he could. It took a while, and I hope Johnny Cardoso follows a similar path. Took a while to get in the national team, and when it did, bang, and then all of a sudden, a lot of problems get alleviated, and this team looks a lot better. So there you go. It's going to be a good test with this Korea team. We will recap it afterwards. I think I got to most of these key moments. I don't want to drown you with too much data and information. And with Korea and Japan, because of the level of this opponent, you don't have to win both games. You don't have to win either game. I would hope they could win a game, maybe get a nice point along the way. What cannot happen is what happened against Switzerland, where you ran off the park. We are too close to the World Cup for the program to absorb one of those, where they look lost. I know it's not the finalized team. Maybe it works out well because you get your desired players at the end. That can't happen. So I hope we get a nice point against Korea, maybe a narrow loss to Japan. Don't panic, but we can't see what we saw against the Swiss. The Soccer OG, we are here for you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Hey, we're not going anywhere.